All right, good evening, and thank you for coming to the Trophy Club Town Hall meeting, where we're going to discuss Proposition 1, which is related to the Joint Facility Town Hall Police Station that is on the November 3rd ballot for $5.4 million. And we have a number of guests here tonight. We have our Trophy Club police officers that are on duty tonight and today, and then we also have our mayor and council. We have Mayor Nick Sanders. We have Council Member Jim Perro, Council Member Philip Schaffner, Council Member Garrett Reed, and Mayor Pro Tem and distinguished Council Member Greg Lamont. And we also have former Mayor Connie White is here as well. And I want to thank the staff who helped coordinate and put everything together this evening. They've done great. We also have GSBS here, and they will do a short presentation as well to kind of go over everything. And really what we want to do this evening, and what I found well works for town hall meetings, is the opportunity for you to get a brief overview of kind of how did we get here and how are the costs outlined, and then the chance to go and look at the layouts and look at how the designs and how it fits within that parcel of property. So you get an idea and you have a feel. And then if you have questions about the police department and how that works, we have Chief Arata along with his staff. If you've got questions about how the council and some of the public areas work, you have various staff members to discuss that. If you have questions about the bond or the bond process and things, we have those folks available as well. And what it does is it allows you to say, okay, what am I interested in? You can go to those stations or you can go to them all. So we found this works very well oftentimes. So what I want to be able to do is kind of start off with a timeline. So how did we get to October of 2015? And really the decision to start looking for a location for a new joint facility started several years ago. But when the town was notified by the MUD that the current police station, which is 6 modular buildings kind of held together and on jack stands, it was never meant to be a permanent structure, that is the site for a future groundwater storage tank. So we were going to have to do something. So we said, okay, what do we need to do? So we eventually contracted with GSBS architects to do a site analysis as well as a feasibility study. What kind of sizing do we need? What does the future look like? What parcels work for which for what are our needs for the future, for today and into the future? And during that study, we looked at 5 potential sites. One of them is a site owned by the Beck family, and it's north and east of the fire station. So it's where Dr. Crumpton's office used to be. And it's got the trees in the front, and it's next door to Hogan's Glen as well as the country club. So if you can think about that office building there. We looked at the commons, and this was before the commons was built. We talked to that property owner about constructing a facility there. We looked at Bobcat Boulevard. It's part of PD 27, which is in between the LDS Church and Independence East. We looked at that acreage. It's now where an office, retail, and Montessori school are going. We looked at this facility here, the biggest drawback being the town doesn't own this property here. It's owned by the utility district. And finally, we looked originally at PD 30 up there on the 26-acre tract at Trophy Club Drive and Highway 114. So in December of 2013, a few months later, 2 additional sites we located and had discussed with the property owners. First being the Methodist Church right next door by Michelle Court here on Trophy Club Drive, as well as the country club property at the tennis courts and swimming pool there on Trophy Club Drive right near Trophy Lake. And at that point in time, the council and staff said that was perhaps the preferable location. It was 5 acres, so that allowed us to have room to grow and to expand if we ever needed to, any type of other facilities. It's sort of in the center of town. And then we entered into negotiations with the country club. And then by February 2014, a couple months later, we made a formal offer to the club. And we had a notice of intent to purchase, with the country club to purchase that property. And the council did a CO, which is a certificate of obligation for $2.5 million to purchase that land. Additionally, in February of 2014, They called the May 2014 bond election to consider an $11.7 million facility, which was just under 43,000 square feet. So we're going to cover several months here because several things happened over this time period. So in May of 2014, the joint facility bond fails. And, there was a lot of talk in town. It was a very large facility. It was almost 43,000 square feet, and it was $11.7 million. So right at that same time, we had a brand new council that came on board, and we began to work with that council to study exactly why the election failed, what was making people upset, what was their questions and concerns, and the council began engaging with GSBS and staff to start finding ways to, okay, if we have some needs here for our staff and for our community, how can we lower those needs and to make it something that would be accommodating and fit our needs, but also be palatable to our residents. And so we began looking at that space analysis and requirements. And then additionally, we began discussing with the Methodist Church a second time to acquire some property at their site. And then a few months later in December, the country club withdraws from land purchase negotiations. So no longer is the country club property at the tennis courts and their pool available for us to purchase. So we kind of skip a couple more months because of the holidays and everything, and United Methodist Church withdraws from negotiations. They decide that they don't have all their things ready to go, and so they have their future planning to take care of and to make sure, and they have a needs analysis that they want to undergo. And so they withdraw at that point in time, and we start reaching out to other property owners. We reach back out to several property owners that we'd already discussed with, and we start looking at the Trophywood district, which is off Trophy Club Drive and Highway 114. There was one specific parcel there that was owned by a developer who was going to put in 35 single-family homes, which were going to be zero lot line houses right behind Hannah Court. It was before it was rezoned into that PD. It was a medical office building, was what its zoning was. So we started talking to various property owners and trying to see what are our options for our community. And in March, we eventually could not reach a negotiation with the Beck family to place a facility on PD 30. And there were several reasons why. One of them was they wanted too much money for their property. That the cost was a factor. The parcel, where they wanted to situate us and where we felt we were should be best located, did not align. And then when you're talking about high cost and alignment, that was important to us. Project timing. We knew that we had a need for this facility maybe sooner than what their plans were. We would be beholden to that family or to whoever the developer was to come out of the ground at the same time. And so with all those things there, we decided to look at we continued to pursue some alternate sites. One of which was that site I was mentioning at Trophywood Drive. We were able to negotiate an excellent price for that piece of property, and we're able to save $1.15 million on it. And so if you remember back in 2014, the council had taken out $2.5 million to purchase property. We were able to purchase the property for $1.35 million. So we were able to save some money, which is going to allow us to put that savings into the building to save our taxpayers money. So what have we done since May? Well, over this time, we've been working with GSBS architects as well as the council to not only refine the interiors and keep looking at the sizing and cost, but also about the exterior and looking at various renderings and which way we would like to go. And so in August, the town council called a $5.4 million bond election, which is Prop 1, for a 24,000 square foot joint facility. And there is no property tax increase associated with this bond. It's reduced by almost 19,000 square feet from the May of 2014 bond election that was asked by the residents, or that we asked the residents to vote on. And as I said, we've got a final design concept. And in September, we have a contract for design and civil engineering. There's lots of work to be done. We have to look at the soils. We have to look at, again, the construction documents, being able to keep that process going. And then tonight, we have October. We have a town hall meeting related to this proposed facility. And what's coming up? Well, on November 3rd, which is a Tuesday, is voting day. And you'll have the opportunity to vote on this facility. And assuming that this is a successful election in March 2016, we anticipate starting construction on this facility. And again, assuming that the voters have approved this, it will take, we estimate 12 to 14 months to construct. It just kind of depends on scheduling and how the weather is and lots of other various factors. So within a couple of years, and not even that, within about a year and a half or so, we could potentially have a new joint facility located on Trophywood Drive. One of the other reasons why Trophywood Drive was an attractive location is because some of the work that we're doing with our Economic Development Board and our TERS district, which is a tax increment financing zone. And that's where Breadwinners is going, and that's where several hotels are under construction. But we're also working on another deal right now that hopefully will be announced in the next few weeks to bring another significant addition to our town that I would say is equal to Breadwinners type of dining and to our community. And so we have the opportunity to kind of create a centralized kind of business district for Trophy Club. I won't call it a downtown, but it's our version of that. So the ability to walk and shop and eat would be nice. So let's talk about costs and funding breakdown. Up at the top, you'll see the funding. We have some tax notes that we have left over that we're utilizing now to help pay for the design. We have some CO bond, which is the remaining leftover from the property purchase. The Crime Control and Prevention Board has approved $2 million. That is funded through sales tax, and it's dedicated sales tax, and they've approved $2 million to go towards this building. And then we have the GO bond, which is our voters. That's what we're asking the voters to pay for, is $5.4 million. And then we have crime control operating funds, and really that $125,000 is to help offset for furniture, fixtures, equipment, other items like that for the building. And then we have some general fund operating funds. That's our bank account, so to speak, and so we're going to be using some funds there again we don't want to bond furniture for 20 years, and so it's the opportunity to pay for furniture up front and fixtures and equipment and things, because why buy a computer when a computer will be outdated in 3 or 4 years with 20-year money? So we're trying to be wise with our money and be smart about it. And the cost, you'll see there, professional services is about $815,000. That includes civil engineering as well, not just architectural fees, but there's a whole bunch of professional services including in that to make sure that the building is built correctly, it's designed correctly, it's engineered correctly. It covers a whole gamut. Then we have construction, and this number is, it's about 7.7 right now is for the building. That's all in. That also includes a 5% contingency, so about $370,000 or so in there. And we're going to keep working on this budget. And we don't want to cost the taxpayers any more money than what we have to. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we get a quality building and a quality facility that will last a number of years. And then you can see the FF&E, AV, and security aspects of that. So it's about $9.2 million all in when you account for professional services and construction and then the equipment and everything. So just as a side-by-side comparison, because I know some people have these questions about what's different between this facility and the proposed facility now. The total square footage size was 42,883 square feet. The police had just over 12,000 square feet. We had about 9,200 square feet for community space. And then in terms of town hall, we had about a little over 21,000 square feet. So now our total square foot has been reduced by over 18,000 square feet. And the police, they had a slight decrease, and they're now down to about 9,600 square feet. Community space is about 5,500 square feet. But the biggest change was in terms of the town hall side, and it's about 9,000 square feet right now. So November 3rd is the election day, and this is Proposition 1. It's $5.4 million for the construction of a joint town hall and police facility. It doesn't, as I mentioned, it doesn't raise your taxes, and it will stay the 0.484 will stay. And we have the tax rate is broken into two components. You have M&O and you have INS. M&O is maintenance and operations, and INS is interest and sinking, and that's your debt. And so what we've done over the past several years is working with council and staff is to refund and defease our debt. One, because the market is great right now, so we can refund things that sometimes we paid 5% interest, we can get 3% interest, so we can save those savings onto our taxpayer. Well, that also allows us to go do additional capital projects. And not only are we planning to do this, we also have other streets projects, and we've lined out for the council every year, what do we want to do? We have some streets that are aging, we have infrastructure that's aging, we have other needs in our community, and we want to be able to make sure that we continually invest, because Trophy Club is a great place to call home today, but we also want to make sure that it's a great place to call home 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now. And that goes back to investing, and that goes back to our infrastructure and how well it holds up. So it's not, we're not maxing out the checkbook at all by doing this. In fact, we're trying to be very prudent because we know we have other needs in our community. And that's the end of my presentation, and I know Tom Batenhorst with GSBS Architects has a short presentation to kind of go over the building and the layout, and then we'll have the opportunity to kind of walk around, and you can ask your questions to Chief Arata or to myself, the mayor, or GSBS.
Steve, do you mind?
Yes, sir.
Explain FF&E and A&B and security.
FF&E is furniture, fixtures, and equipment. AV is audio, video, and security are things like door locks, cameras, things like that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Stephen. That was some good information. I appreciate and respect the timeline you put together. It really pulls that all together over the last couple of years of what we've been working on with the city and previous council, current council members, and mayor. I'll just highlight some things, and then, as Stephen has mentioned, we'll be able to come around the room. If you have any very specific questions, you can talk to myself, or Alexi's been helping me this week put together the boards, and he's also involved in the construction drawings we're working on. So we have this 5-acre site, and working with the council and going over some ideas, we've opted to place this building on the west part of this site, adjacent to Trophywood Drive, leaving probably 1.5 acres to the east side of the property for some potential development in the future, and that's not been decided, but there is some property there to the east, which is in back of that water tower. We have a significant grade on this site from the bottom to the top. I'm guessing it's probably 25 feet. It rises. We've included that black and white cross section on the top, and if you want a little more delving into that, we can talk about that on the sheet over here later. But I wanted to illustrate the impact or the lack of impact that this has on the residential neighbors to the rear. We've been very sensitive to that dozen houses back there. We have placed the building over 100 feet off of the property line, so from probably house to building, we're 120 to 130 feet apart. We are also, the top of our building is as you can see, is much lower than up there on top of the hill. So that's to our benefit, and there's a lot of mature trees that will be saved between our building and those neighbors. We have parking for about 100 visitors and staff on the lower part of this site. And then on the upper right-hand corner, we have about 40 secured parking spaces for police, their trailers, some of their vans, and other crime control equipment. Back there is where we'll also have some of the systems, transformers, generators, so that's screened and in that secure yard. We have an entry plaza for a couple of reasons. Number one, to give you a sense of a town hall and make you proud of that. But secondly, it gives us a way to transition again with grade and come up into that space. sure how this is working. Thank you. So overhaul site plan, on the left in the green, that's the town hall side. That's Stevens' domain over there. And that's about just over 9,000 square feet, or about 37% of the project. In the center, the yellow or tan area is public spaces. It's the council chambers. It's some conference rooms that are shared, toilet facilities, and then front lobby, about 5,500 feet, 22%. The blue area is police administration. Again, 38%, a little larger than the town hall side. A lot of permanent things in there, special things, evidence storage, evidence processing, locker rooms for the staff, and so on. And we also have just a couple of very temporary, hour-by-hour, more secure rooms for unruly citizens in town, right, Chief? So, an addition that came in a couple of months ago, and this is a great idea, was to somehow pull animal services in there. Currently, they do house with the police and a couple of portable kennels inside the building, I think. And so we have about 400 square feet in the lower right-hand corner, that light blue, that will be an office, a processing area, and 3 or 4 kennels for dogs. And I've been told that these are placed usually within hours. We really don't even expect an overnight stay, but we do have an outdoor area to exercise the dogs if necessary within that screened area. Okay? And then in these illustrations, and there are what you see up here as well, I've tried to identify the type of spaces that are in those specific areas. So again, on the admin side, the blue is office, conference areas, and then the IT were in the center of that building in terms of the server and workspaces for taking care of their needs. Next slide. Public spaces, meeting rooms, council chambers. Again, we have this IT space in the orange, which is for recording this event here today, okay, in terms of visual and audio. Next one. And then on the police side, again, blue's offices. The red spaces are secure spaces, evidence and those kind of things, and then support. Working with the council, we originally had, we kind of had 3 different ideas we conveyed to council over a couple of months. Got feedback from everybody and have migrated to this design. This is looking more toward the police wing, so the corner on the extreme right would be that animal services area, and to the right of that would be the secure parking area. You can see we've got some elevation there to deal with grade, and we'll take care of that with some landscaping and some stone walls of some kind. And the trees you're seeing in back are really those mature trees. They're about 40 foot tall, and from this angle you can just see the top of those. And then on the town hall side, this is what you would see as you turned in off of Trophywood Drive and approach the building, and have this rotunda that services the ability to get to all 3 spaces, to police, to the public space of council chambers, and then to the left side, which is town hall, and more immediately the services that a lot of you would use, which is permitting and utilities and park and rec and those kind of things. So that's where we are. We're continuing to work. We're meeting with our engineers. We're designing things. We've had meetings with staff. And it's a great project, and we just hope that the voters agree with us. Rita?
Thanks, Tom. At this point, I would welcome our visitors this evening to kind of walk around. We have a model that's a 3D model that we just got tonight. So we're anxious to see that, and we're going to have that in the PS or the annex building next door. We're going to have that in the lobby for those folks who come in to be able to see it. But please walk around, ask questions if you've got specific things for police. Chief Arata's here along with his staff. If you've got questions about architectural items or construction items, we have Tom here, And if you've got other questions related to timeline or budgets or things like that, we've got not only town council, we also have town staff. So thank you for coming. We really do appreciate it. And we are pleased that we are gotten this far to date, and we'll see how November 3rd goes.
There's also some refreshments.
Oh, yes, and there are refreshments over here. Please help yourself.
Don't they say vote yes and vote often?
I don't want to vote as your heart desires. Or don't.
You didn't want to get caught. What's going to be done with the current